Welcome, affiliated listeners, to another episode. And we're going to do this a little bit hybrid because obviously I am in studio, but our guest is not. They're going to be joining us from the lovely Netherlands and Amsterdam. And today, before I tell you who that is, and some of you just by saying that might already know, but today we're going to be talking about agencies, and more specifically, how an agency, or we don't even say necessarily an agency, but how working with a agency could really change your business. Specifically, we're going to be unlocking a little bit what's going on in the media world with one of the biggest media buying agencies out there, and also talk about how they're so successful. So if you are somebody that either wants to buy media, should be buying media, or is right now and thinks that they could be doing better, this is an episode you need to pause and pay attention to. And with that, let me introduce the amazing, the delightful, and also possibly the best photo taker in the industry. We have Raanan. Raanan, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I love that introduction. I'll take it from you, Mr. Legend, Kyle Casecchia. That means a lot. That means a lot. I wouldn't say I'm the best photo taker, but I would say that I take too many photos at all events. So I definitely take.
You're like the Allen Iverson of selfies and photos. So, you know, it's a bit of a volume game, but good happens in the volume every single time.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we're so excited to have you. Very excited to have you. And with that, for those that don't know, what we really want to start is actually talking about the company you work for, Kendago. And for those that might not know, Kendago has been an agency that's been working closely with ClickBank and in the industry for a long time now, and is probably a lot larger than a lot of people know out there. So I've known, Rafi and Adam for a long time, obviously you as well. So love the team. Know you guys are doing amazing things. I've had the luxury of visiting your guys' offices before, but please do not let me steal the thunder. Why don't you just actually tell the people a little bit about Kendago? What's kind of special about this agency? I'm doing quotations agency for those not actually watching, and Raanan will kind of expand on that a little bit why.
Well, first off, thank you. I have to say, I've done a lot of things in my career. It's an incredible honor just to be able to represent Kendago because honestly, we're not even an agency. We're the next step. We're a long-term solution and a strategic partner. We scale brands on all forms of paid media. So essentially everything outside of email and SMS, we do it well. Last month, just so you know, across all YouTube ads internationally, we were number one. We do a lot of great things in the space, and it's not just buying traffic. It's not just following the trends. We have in-house full production capabilities with a full house creative shop. We have our own compliance team. So even though we've been around for 17 years and have never had one ad account banned, shut down, restricted, anything, we have the best of relationships with all the ad platforms. We're still always above par. We make sure that everything is compliant, everything is clean. We have a stellar in-house team of copywriters. We have some of the best brains you've seen in the space, just all collectively working on things. And part of our approach is different because we really operate in this larger space. We have over 130 plus employees. Just on our creative team alone, over 70 employees with a world-class director and all of these other things. But if you're working with us, there's generally a minimum of 10 to 12 people in and out working on your campaign day to day. We don't just take on an offer and agree to work with it. We take on an offer and we invest in it. We really go out of our way to make sure that we can get somewhere and that we can help bring value. For me, if someone comes to me and they have a perfect funnel and they're doing great on paid media and it all looks interesting, but we can't add value, we can't make you more money, we can't grow the brand, unfortunately, it's a no, because we're really looking to expand. We're looking to grow brands. If you're a $5 million brand, let us take you to 50 million. If you're 50, let us take you further. But for us, we're really a strategic partner working closely with a team to help get their brand out there. If you need to get on Good Morning America, we'll do that. If you need some help with, optimizing your upsell downsell flow, we'll rewrite it for you. If we need to bring in a JV partnership with one of our other clients that helps benefit both, we do that. But for us, the name of the game is always going to be win-win. It needs to be something that's going to back out for everybody so we can all succeed together.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think I want to go back to a couple things. First, I feel like we did not give enough fanfare. I think we need, we'll have to have Dylan put some awesome, fireworks sounds, #1 in spend in YouTube. And he said that was just last month. That is freaking awesome. Round of applause. Woo, that is crazy. I mean, that is not something that we always get the luxury of having, an agency or anyone that is putting that level of spend, knowing what that means and who you guys are competing against. So that is freaking huge. that deserves some, if we had like the big like buzz horn, like blah, 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 it feels like that should be going off when that happens. That's really fantastic. But the other point you said right at the beginning, I thought was really interesting, is we're not an agency, we're the next level. So you should graduate from an agency to us. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? So almost describe a little bit about why an agency is a temporary step, or should be a temporary step in a lot of people's
Well,
businesses.
that's great. I wouldn't necessarily say an agency is a temporary step. I wouldn't say that agencies are a bad idea. Like, none of this is anything to, like, let's say, put down or displace the importance of agencies. There are a ton of different agencies across multiple things that all do great work. It's nothing like that. But what we do is very different. Like I mentioned before, it's not just buying traffic. If you were a client, for example, and let's say you had a great funnel that was working really well, and there were some things that needed to be adjusted. Maybe for whatever reason, you're the spokesperson, you're not performing super well as we feel that you could be. We might work to bring in a celebrity doctor to that funnel. We might work with you to bring in a new spokesperson that maybe better represents or connects with the demographic. We really come at all approaches. So yes, we're buying traffic. Yes, my top 10 campaigns are all doing over 2,000 sales a day, and that's amazing. But at the same time, it's not just the traffic, and it's not just, making those sales and making those conversions. It's building a brand. So if that means that you need a new spokesperson for your brand, that's what we do. If it means that you need some help with UGC, user generated content and testimonials, we'll help with that. It's whatever is really needed. I hate to say this, but some other agencies are more focused on, let's say, the highest performing offer, the thing that's the most exciting, or what's coming in the door. And yes, we're built to scale, so we look for something that is proof of concept. But part of our audit process is really, do we feel that we would still be confidently running this a year from today? Is this something that we feel like is going to be part of the long term? Because most of our relationships are upwards of 7 years. We've been doing V-Shred's paid media for the last 7.5 years. We do a lot of things in the space long term. We have a lot of really valuable relationships with clients, and we don't have a sign-up fee. We don't have a monthly retainer. We're completely performance-based. So you're paying for what you get. You're paying for that traffic. So in order to do that, we take calculated risks based around who we want to be in business with, where we see the relationship. There are a lot of amazing ClickBank, offer owners and people, but I'll use, for example, Emily Lark with Back to Life, and you have there also Alex Miller with her pelvic floor offer. These are phenomenal partners who we found through ClickBank, who we've been able to grow things with their businesses. This is what we're looking for, is partners, people who don't just say, here's a link and run. We're looking for people who want to build something with us.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. We're definitely going to circle back to those ClickBank clients, because I do want to even add some commentary and talk a little bit more about that. But one of the things I just want to kind of highlight and just ask you and talk a little bit more about, and I really loved, is so much of the agency, oftentimes it's what you might tell them to do, is what you're saying. Like, so agency be great, but it's going to be a spotlight. And what you're really getting with Kendago isn't a spotlight. You're getting a partnership. You're getting somebody that truly wants to invest in the long-term growth of your company and brand. And almost like you're going to get an extension of a whole marketing department when you start working with Kendago. Like you said,
Beyond
over
that,
half of the company is just on the creative side. That is wild. That just means you're getting so many assets that normally you're going to have to create, you're going to have to know how to create, and you're going to have to direct an agency to be able to get those results normally, which I could see why it's not an agency. This is really a supercharging partnership in your business. And I love that you guys are performance-based. So before we kind of go into some of the things with ClickBank, what I'd really love to hear is just if you could quickly just maybe talk a little bit about how you're able to go on the performance basis and what that looks like in your partnerships with what you can share. I just think that's such a compelling thing, particularly so many brands. When you grow and you're kind of on that rocket ship, it feels like you'll oftentimes get a lot of people that want to take your rocket fuel more than continue to have it grow. So it could be challenging to start evaluating, who should I trust, who should I go with. So I really love the idea of, like, you guys are putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak, and saying, hey, we work on performance because we know we're that good. So I'm kind of curious what that looks like.
Well, I'll tell you, first off, part of it is the team. It's the capabilities of what we can do. For example, we have an insane reputation for our creatives. Our creative team is really top notch. what we're able to do, we take direct response style video ads and put them on all sorts of different funnels. So it's not just on video sales letters. Sometimes it's on a standard classic e-commerce funnel. It's a lot of different things, but we're known for our creatives, for the things that we bring to the table in terms of that. So there's obviously the know-how that we understand how to make a direct response campaign work. We also understand the trends, but we have these direct relationships with all the ad platforms. I mean, it's very rare. There are not many I could name that have 17 years of direct relationships with Meta, for example, without having one ad account banned, shut down, or restricted.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. Yeah,
we're
sure.
also informed of things ahead of time. So, for example, and I mean, this goes into part of kind of the strategic partnership and what we bring to the table. Part of our value is also our knowledge, our experience. So we know what's coming down the line in terms of compliance, and we proactively get ahead of it. We know what's coming down. You know, when the iOS 14 update came out and everybody started freaking out because all of a sudden people can opt out. I mean, I don't want to scare you and say end of the world, but we're, I think, approaching a cookieless future where it's going to be hard to track things. Well, we have our own proprietary internal ad tech that we built out ourselves. We implemented server-to-server postback links on every step of the funnel. We track everything precisely and accurately to a T. So you come to work with Kendago, you're also getting accuracy. And these kind of things, I watched it with other agencies and other players in the space, not knowing what to do or how to function or what the next step was. What if nothing's tracking? Whereas we don't really operate in a place of reactivity. We're much more proactive and we adapt. So over the years, there have been iterations in terms of compliance, in terms of, you know, ad creatives, in terms of just scale of what the team is doing and where our focuses are. You know, I know this isn't what you asked, but also in terms of right now, we're doing quite a lot in the Spanish speaking market. That's not something we were doing a few years ago. So there's a constant adaptability, which actually allows us to take clients places. I have 2 great long-term clients who we helped bring into the Spanish market. And if you look back to when we started with them, way before my time with Kendago, that was never in the plan. That wasn't something even discussed at that time, but we're really in it to grow partnerships with people. We win if you win. So if we can help make you a top performing offer on Snapchat or TikTok or Meta or you name it, everyone's winning as well. So we're very deeply invested in growing our brands, not just running them to, let's say, the affiliate capacity or running them in a certain way. We want to really build a brand reputation that you can essentially, hopefully, launch other products, launch other, you know, areas of the brand, maybe go into another vertical, whatever the case is. But we're looking long term. How can we build you over the next 7 years versus how can we play around for the next 6 months?
Yeah. No, and so kind of way to think about that, or just I really love what you're talking about, because I think when offer owners, so there might be a lot of people that have a product right now that are really listening to this and thinking to themselves, man, like, boy, I could leverage Kendago in so many ways. And that's what I think you're talking about. It's not an agency, right? This is so much more because you're leveraging the expertise of some of the largest, biggest media buyers that have been doing this for well over a decade, almost 2 decades. So you get that leverage of that experience. But on top of that, you get access to the information that kind of spend and experience provides. Because these relationships are strong with these large traffic platforms, like you said, now just by working with you, not only are we getting traffic expertise, you're getting also just general industry knowledge that most people don't have access to just by the sheer fact they're not spending enough money. So that's huge. You also are getting somebody that's invested in a long-term partnership and growth of your brand. So that's massive. There's so many different ways to leverage it. And it sounds like that's just, I mean, there's even more. We could probably talk the whole podcast about just different ways, and we'll circle back to this later. The offer owners on ClickBank can really take advantage. So I know we didn't go through the kind of the exact performance way, but I actually really appreciate your answer so much more, because just the idea is like, listen, through us, it doesn't really matter because you're always going to get us motivated to find the best way to grow your business at that point in time, not based on what we've done in the past, wholly, not based on what everyone else is doing, but based on the opportunities that we know now that are going to be the best for you going forward. I love that. That's fantastic. So we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to circle back a little bit and talk specifically about how Kendago is able to work with ClickBank. We've been doing it for a long time. And you mentioned a couple of our clients that you guys are working with that we've seen amazing growth with. And I'll also say sustained growth, which is not something we commonly see. But I'm curious to hear from you, Raanan, exactly when you look at ClickBank and how Kendago works with them, what does that look like? Where is that value for you guys in what you do?
Well, I'll say that we are a unique partner in terms of traffic. And what I mean by that is, as it turns out, not every offer is going to work for us. Not every campaign is the right fit. Not everything's necessarily even ready to scale on paid media. So in this space that we operate in, where there's so much concentrated on the email side, that does become, let's say, a bit of an obstacle. Maybe if you're dealing with a brand that's not actually a brand and it's just, a supplement that maybe someone ripped off someone else's page. Not saying that's the case, but maybe something that doesn't have as much branding. There's obviously, obstacles and things with that. But the great thing is, for a marketplace like ClickBank, there's such an amazing variety of offers and offer owners. But I'm going to say, to be honest, it really comes down to collaboration. I happen to consider myself very lucky because our ClickBank account rep, shout out to Eva, who is absolutely incredible, keeps me informed of everything going on. And I'll be honest, a lot of times she brings me offers that are clearly not relevant for Kendago. But what is relevant is we want to know what's going on in the space, because sometimes she'll say, hey, Raanan, I have this new offer. They haven't done paid media. They seem very motivated. They want to work with a company like yours. It's further down the pipeline. I wanted to share this with you. If you'd like an introduction, let me know. This set things up, because for us, a lot of partners have to do a few things before we're ready to partner together. If you're willing to do that, if you're willing to get set up, we're a long-term solution. So for me, it goes into a lot in terms of that. And, Eva is amazing, but I also have to give amazing kudos to you, to Kyle Meredith, to Michael Lohman, to so many people on your team that go out of their way. If I'm at a conference, there's no question that someone high up on the ClickBank team is going to bring someone over to me. And, that goes deeply into the trust and relationship we built with ClickBank. And Kendago has an extremely strong love for ClickBank. We have a deep-rooted loyalty. We've worked together, I believe, over 17 years at this point. There is really a trust, a history, a track record. But I have to say, in this constantly evolving time where there's new things, the fact that we continue to get attention from ClickBank, the fact that everyone on the team understands that we're, let's say, a tough nut to crack in terms of finding the right offer, and that you're all committed in finding that alongside us. That's honestly very similar to the way Kendago works. It's a strategic partnership. It's not just working with a network. It's not just working with an ad platform. It's working together to make things happen. So a big, huge perk, honestly, of us working with ClickBank is just your amazing team. I mean, plain and simple, it's the way it works, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, well, I love hearing that. I think it's one of the things you mentioned before. Kendago's on a basis of win-win, right? If it's not win-win, it's a pass, a respectful pass. Wish you best success. And with ClickBank, I think the way we look at it is a win-win-win, right? Our goal is to make our clients more successful in any way that we can. And gosh darn it, if it's a fit at Kendago, we pretty much know success is a given when that happens. We've seen it over 17 years. You mentioned clients that you've had, and I said sustained, consistent growth. That is what we know we're going to get. And I think that's one of the things why we love pairing you up and Kendago up with the right client anytime we can. But I love the other thing you mentioned there, information, right? At the end of the day, sometimes all we're providing you, which does, I shouldn't say all we are. I mean,
I was going to say valuable. It's not all. It's a big value.
Yeah. It is. But having that information that other times, even as much as we talk about, you have all access to platforms and networks, but that's not the full breadth of everything that's going on. So knowing that you could see results, things that you wouldn't have access to, have conversations with people that could talk about trends and show you what's going on right now is always immensely valuable. And we love hearing that. I want you to know that that's something we're committed to with a lot of partners that we trust, and we know that they're going to use that information to make themselves better and our clients better. That's our goal, and we love sharing that. So dialing back a couple more specifics, because obviously, and actually we should take a moment. Huge shout out to Eva and the Kyle and all the other team, the account manager team, affiliate manager team. You guys are amazing. Keep doing a great job. We love it. And obviously we love our clients and we hope they love it too. So
Well,
just a
and
couple of quick,
actually, can I just jump in? I just want to
of
give an
course.
extra special shout out to Kyle Meredith, who very much pushed me into my position at Kendago. So he had a very huge part, along with Iman at Chip Offers, in introducing me to Kendago. So I'm always thankful and reminding myself of this, because it was an introduction that may not have happened without Kyle's help.
That's amazing. Well, he is good Kyle for a reason, because he is just such a fantastic human being.
Exactly.
So that's great. That's great. So dialing it back, or not dialing it back, because we don't want to ever dial back Kyle love, as even I get some by the periphery, so it's great. But let's go to some of these specific things with ClickBank. So I think what I'd love to do is maybe if we can, with what you can share. I always understand it's tough because you're limited what you can share. But if you could share maybe with like Alex Miller, for example, a little bit about how that relationship has worked and how you guys have worked with ClickBank and Alex to find mutual success, just through what you can share and what that success has looked like for you guys as well.
Absolutely. Well, part of it, and I know this sounds simple and maybe like everyone would understand, part of it is finding a partner that is collaborative. For me, if someone comes to us that is doing, top scale of things, really has a top performing campaign, but they don't respond to things that my creative team might need, or the strategy or different aspects, it kind of slows things down. With Alex's team, for example, they're really communicative. They really work alongside us. When there is, let's say, anything we need to do in terms of split testing, at Kendago, another huge perk to working with us is we have CRO, or conversion rate optimization. We've invested a lot of time, energy. We have an entire department based around it. And for a lot of our clients, we're setting up new split tests 6 months in advance. We have already control, but there's a lot of new things that kind of come into play, and we're constantly testing out new creatives, maybe new angles, maybe new styles of ad altogether. And it's essential that we have a partner that collaborates. There are partners we work with that have potential to go higher than they are because their teams are not, let's say, as collaborative. I was not with the company when we started working with Alex, but I would imagine when it started that there was probably a lot of push from ClickBank as well to help facilitate that relationship, because her team and her are great communicators. They're really great to work with, and they deliver what we ask for. It gives the ability, because for me, we're not taking a link and just running traffic. We might write the content that you need to film, but we'll send it to you and give you directives on what needs to be done there. Maybe you have unedited UGC material, we'll edit it up. We have the best, video editors in the game. That's all great. But it's not something where I can just sit there with a link and say, I'll do it and have a good day. We demand a lot from our partners. We really look for collaboration because we're invested in your brand. We want you to be invested. And I will say that the ClickBank offer owners tend to be, especially from my experience, the most willing to put their sweat into something, the most willing to work hard to find a solution, to find a new control if we're looking at different ad creatives, who collaborate with us on things, who really go back and forth. It's not just us saying, do this. It's them also coming up with ideas to the table. It's them being active in our, regular calls with the client, all of these things. So it's a lot of different moving parts, but I really think the most important thing, and this goes for everything with Kendago, is collaboration. We're looking for partners. We're not looking to tell people how to do things on everything, and we're not looking to be told. We're looking to have some sort of partnership where we can build something great.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fantastic. So let's talk about it a little bit more, because I think one of the parts in here that I really heard that is such a massive value is it's almost like increasing the vetting before you ever have to have that call. Because when you're doing partnerships and going out, and it's a much more involved process, I imagine that makes sourcing and finding the right partners challenging. So when you could get strategic partnerships or other people that not only could help you vet, but also set the stage for that partner of what they're going to get in return, I imagine that's been a huge benefit of working with ClickBank, because we just help provide really, really solid leads your way. Even if they're not a right fit, when we are a right fit, we know it's going to hit so many check boxes. So a couple of things just to kind of delve a little bit more into that. Now, is there, when you're working with a ClickBank offer, I imagine some of the other benefits too is you already know that process is in there. You have kind of scale is not going to be an issue as you're growing. What does a successful campaign look like when you, from what you could say, when you say, oh, this was a win for somebody that you'd have coming through the ClickBank channel? Like, what would that look like for you?
Well, I mean, obviously we're looking for profitability and scale. So we want
Yeah.
something
Yes.
that we can build up, but there, it's so much more than that because it's really not just a profitable campaign. It is that partnership. So I'm really looking for someone who's invested in the growth as well. Someone who understands the value in if we are suggesting some new things in terms of creative that they want to explore that. If they're, that people aren't comfortable just plateauing like this, that they're looking to elevate the business, that they're looking to go to the next step. Those are the real partnerships we're looking for that are really, really valuable for us. There are certain things I'll say that we do pretty much at the top of the game. Understanding where our value in there is great, but also having a product owner who really has a vision for their brand, who really can speak on that, who really sees things, because we can't do everything. So it really
Mm-hmm.
does come into that collaboration, that partnership. It's very important. And I will, just to kind of echo what you said in terms of ClickBank, I will say ClickBank is really essential in terms of kind of teeing people up for us and presenting where things are. Also, if they know that the partner is, let's say, not as responsive, letting us know where that obstacle might be, because it's not about talking ill of someone or anything, but for us, it is the win-win. So we're looking
Mm-hmm.
for the right partnership that we can grow. And honestly, having ClickBank on our side, it's a huge flex. I mean, I just came back from an amazing conference at ClickBank Diamond, what was it, 2 months ago? And I mean, the level of high level introductions, part of it is just being there. But ClickBank, I would say just about every member of the team that was there facilitated something for me each and every day. And
Wow.
that goes into kind of teeing things up in the longer term relationship where we understand the needs. So I'm always just looking for the most collaborative of partners.
Beautiful. No, love it. Love it. And I think it's one of the things, it's always mission aligned because ClickBank is all about collaborating with their clients. You guys are all about collaborating with clients, and we just have that same mission. So I want to ask one quick question about kind of Kendago and ClickBank, and then we're going to move into talking about some industry trends, some things you're seeing. Particularly, I think one thing I'm really curious about, if we can, is talking more about maybe some things your compliance team is seeing what they're doing. But we're going to circle after that question or this next question. So one thing I wanted to ask, and this is very specific, is I'm curious, do you guys ever find yourself testing an offer before an introduction? So say maybe theoretically, let's just make up Jane Doe. Jane Doe's selling some really cool stuff online. She's got great video presence. We're saying this offer is doing really well. It's servicing a health market. Do you guys ever say test an offer to email? Says it's one thing for us to say it. It's a different thing to run it to a list you're familiar with and actually see the funnel before you have that conversation. Is that kind of a regular part of your guys' practice or something that you occasionally do?
No, it really doesn't go into, it's not such an important thing for us in terms of that, because again, we're looking into partnerships and long-term growth. So part of our
Mm-hmm.
process before we onboard anything is we go through a really robust, let's say, audit process. We want to understand where the metrics are. We want to really see where the value we can add as well is. It's not just about, is this a possibly successful funnel? It's what do we see that we can actually make it better? Where can we kind of take it to the next level and what can be done there. So we're really investigating the long term. And just, I mentioned this before, but just to say, I would rather onboard an offer that I can make $1 million every year for the next 12 years versus an offer I could make 10 million on the next 6 months, because that's not the business that we operate. We have a number of different clusters internally in terms of, like, in PPC, we have Google teams, we have Facebook teams, we have TikTok teams, we have all these different clusters. And that goes amongst creative as well, and so many different departments where we're really laser focused on what we're doing. So if we make the, decision after an audit to work with a brand and we're able to come up with an amazing solution to get things started, we're essentially going to be building around that brand. It may not be from day one that you have an entire team built specifically for that brand, but things will be set up to do that. We're really at the scope and scale of what we are, we're still in many ways a boutique style,
Mhm.
service, performance marketing group, basically, where we're servicing our clients in a very tailored approach. And so while I would love to test things and maybe get some insight and some data earlier on, it's just not at this stage the way that we really conduct business, because we're really setting the stage for the next 2 years together, the next five
Yeah.
years. And that goes so much more beyond just whether or not an offer performs well.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that, man. So let's talk about some things that are happening right now. You guys are spending a lot of money and making a lot of money, but doing it successfully so through paid media. So there's definitely some things we want to talk about, but right now, knowing that you guys have a big focus on compliance, and we hear so many affiliates talking about getting accounts shut down, getting ads shut down, and just trying, how do I crack the code with getting conversions without failing compliance? So if you want to talk maybe just in high level, maybe in general, how your team accomplishes that, what it looks like on a compliance side, and then if there's any trends that are going on right now that you could share, great. But I understand sometimes some of that stuff is pretty proprietary, so you can't necessarily say everything, but it'd be great to share whatever you can.
For sure. Well, I mean, one of the things, honestly, in terms of like getting banned and issues there, we're always a step ahead in terms of compliance. So there could be partners or people that we work with that are like, there comes Kendago again, because we want to make sure everything is up to snuff. We're not running into issues. I know other people in the space, media buyers or agencies, who are sometimes kind of towing the line. For us, that's not how we work. We have so many eyes on us. I have multiple campaigns, like I mentioned, doing over 2,000 sales a day. We've done things long term. Some of those brands are running, upwards of 5, 6, 7 years with us. We have a lot of eyes on us. So while we're pre-approved for just about everything on every platform, there's still eyes. So we have to be very careful. We don't want to make those mistakes. There's QA on just about everything that goes through every department internally. We're really on top of these things because it's our reputation on the line. And, I don't want to belittle or, demean any brand, but if I bring on some new brand tomorrow, every ad I run with that affects VShred. That affects my other big brands, because all eyes are on us and we're buying collectively as a performance marketing group. So everyone is seeing these things. So our
Mhm.
compliance team is always up to date on everything going on. There's a lot of research that goes into it. There's constant conversations happening, information shared with all the ad platforms. So that's a major aspect of it, is how we operate that way. And honestly, we have to get very creative, because a lot of the really aggressive traffic that's out there in paid media in terms of VSL and this space are going routes that maybe aren't necessarily not just non-compliant, but things that could get you into a lot of trouble. And we really stay, far ahead of that. We're going to make sure that everything is science based, or, really backed, that there's no, made up studies, that everything is really legitimate, that the offer says what it does. If it says that it does something that can't be backed, that's not something that we're looking to run. So that also sets us up into a bit of a different space, in the terms that we are just really above board at all times with everything. So we really go out of our way to make sure. Yeah, in an ad, there might be, let's say, a little bit of a gray area of like, you can eat a donut if you do this. But if you really study the program and take a look, if you're following it to a T, you can have a donut.
Mhm.
So, yes, it's kind of operating in this space, but that's very different than some of the really black hat angles and things out there. So, it does keep us above the fray. And our video editing is just, I mean, our creatives, that's what we're really known for. Anyone who knows the ads out there and is watching what's scaling knows Kendago for our ads, because our creative team, they're just second to none. Like what we do, I feel really proud to be a part of. And it's not going the route of a really aggressive or scary thing. It's really brand built. You're going to
Mhm.
see, when you look online with like Alex Miller, for instance, you're going to see her in ads. You're going to see her smiling face. It's not going to be something that she would be embarrassed to stand her brand behind and things like that. So there is a different kind of area for us. We're not fighting compliance because we're proactively ahead of it.
Yeah, no, I love that. So I think one of the big things there is I think a lot of people feel like you can't get conversions without being very aggressive. And it's just not necessarily true. With proper creative, with really skilled creative. And sometimes it takes more skill, and it's harder to be compliant and still convert, but it's definitely possible. And there's definitely ways to do that. So I'd love knowing that's happening now. Again, if you don't have an answer to it, totally fine, but it's my curiosity brain. I just got to pick at it. Are there any specific maybe compliance trends that you guys have seen recently that you can share and say, hey, just so you know, if you're on Meta right now and you're trying to do this, bad idea, we've completely stopped. You don't have to tell us what your solution is, just maybe a compliance red flag that you guys have noticed recently or in the last couple months.
I mean, there are a lot of things that I see going on right now that we're not doing that are, let's say, like not so compliant and not so good. I mean, I know a lot of people are doing some very aggressive angles, using deep fakes and different forms of AI that are things that they're not even in the realm of what we do. So I understand that there's something there. What I'll kind of piggyback on what I said before, from also what helps us to scale things in a clean, compliant way. This isn't exactly answering the question, but in terms of clean and compliant, part of why we're able to, and this is maybe a good tip for media buyers that don't want to go as dark, that are looking for something that they can run on a cleaner, is find something special. And what I mean by that is not a brand that's copying 30 other things that is nothing indistinguishable about it. There is a place and a space for those supplements and for those brands. So none of this is saying anything bad, but look for something really special. If it's a supplement, look for something that has a custom formulation and there's some science behind it, because you can really, in a clean, compliant way, build a brand reputation around something like that because it has something special to it. If it's a brand that has a killer spokesperson attached to it, that's also something you can really do something with, because, like, that's how it goes. If you're able to do something where you can really stand down proprietarily in promoting the brand and something that's unique to that brand, that's your angle to stay compliant and to really keep going. Where I see a lot of the trends with the really aggressive angles and the things that we can't run and that aren't even in our wheelhouse is because you're running maybe 7 or 8 offers. And I've seen a lot of these, they all have the same lead, they all have the same hook.
Yeah.
So in order to compete with each other, they have to go these kind of really aggressive angles to stomp it out. But when you're working with something like a clean campaign, when you have Emily Lark's campaign, for example, she is the brand in so many ways, and she connects with all forms of demographics and is great and really is able to give a brand message. Well, I'm not fighting with 30 other affiliates in that case because there's only one Emily.
Yeah.
So it's not the same thing. So it really, from a compliance aspect, if you go to something that has a clear brand, a clear message, something that really sets it off unique, I think there's an easier path to success in terms of how you promote it.
Couldn't agree more. I love that that's kind of where we went to too. I think when you talk about where's that challenge of getting creative to still be compliant but convert, authority and uniqueness seem to matter most, right? I think Elon Musk talks a lot about in his autobiography that the products matter the most. If a great product will sell itself. I disagree with him on it'll sell itself, but a great product that's unique, that's different, or even just something somebody hasn't heard before, or the voice saying something is different, right? It could be the same message, but the voice is unique. It's coming in a way I haven't heard it, or coming from a person I haven't heard it from, is definitely that secret sauce. That's the product at the end of the day. And you can say with Emily, like, her product's great, but what's even more is her as a part and extension of that product.
100%.
Right? So that changes the game quite a bit, and I love that. So with that, it's funny. We could probably talk about that forever too. So
we could talk about anything.
But I know. It's such good stuff. So now I want to talk specifically. You actually mentioned this quite a bit earlier. Is you guys really specialize on taking kind of more DR angles, but you're doing this with brands, which is something we talk a lot about, but a lot of people struggle to achieve. So what I'd love to really hear from you is how do you take and really like an e-com, well, you don't say e-com, but very well branded, more of a PPC, Google, might even have a retail presence style of brand, and bringing in some of those elements of direct response that Kendago has mastered for such a long time. What does that conversion look like? What are some of the things that you guys have to do? And maybe even I should actually, let me reframe that. What are some of the result differences that you guys see from taking kind of that e-com product page and putting your DR stamp on it and turning it into ads in a funnel? I'd be really curious about that.
Well, I'll say a few things. I'll say first off, in terms of We see a huge amount of success with it because part of, we're known for video creatives taking these direct response style. Direct response is a really specific style of marketing where you can really connect with the end consumer in a very direct way, where you're really able to. I always tell people, for example, when we're filming like a new spokesperson or anyone for one of our like clients funnels, I always tell people, imagine you're doing a TED talk to one person. You really want to connect with that one person, but you're giving a talk to the world. And I think in terms of direct response marketing and putting our ads on, let's say, a very classic e-commerce funnel that's not a TSL, isn't fleshed out as just the product, is you're building, again, that brand awareness through the ads. So this goes into, again, when we're talking a real brand, a real, beyond just a product, a real brand, is if the product is that good, then us creating a story with the ad creatives is only going to complement it perfectly. So it's something that we're able to bring to the table. I will say it's unique to us in the sense that not no one else is doing it, but it's unique to us that it's not so common and we're able to take that. So we work with certain brands in like the e-commerce space, for instance, who are not direct response. And what's been a really cool thing, we shoulder a lot of responsibility. One of the models we work on is called the partner model or the performance-based like affiliate model, essentially, where we take a CPA or a rev share and we fund the entire campaign. We run it for you. I have clients who are doing 7 figures a day campaign spend. We're shouldering all of that. So because of that, we're always looking to really offset the risk. So I know this is a bit roundabout, but one of the huge perks for us just being transparent of working with ClickBank amongst all the others is that there's never a question that we're not going to get paid. ClickBank has a stellar reputation, 20 plus years, probably much more than that, always pays their bills. We've never had an obstacle. We know that if we're shouldering this responsibility for a new brand that we haven't built a relationship with, we know that ClickBank is going to come through and have our back in terms of that. So that's a huge perk to us. A major thing also with these e-commerce brands who, let's say, don't know what a VSL is that we get to bring that to them. So if we, let's say, start testing some direct response style ad creatives in front of an e-commerce lander, we do well with it, we're able to perform, then we might come to you and say, hey, we'd like to make this into a VSL. We know how these perform. So we're able to bring also our direct response know-how into a space that, let's say, didn't have as much access to direct response before or this style of marketing. And the other big thing I'd say in terms of these offer owners that's really important, I'll say in terms of working with us when they're not coming from the DR space, is they need to be open to changing their perspective. Direct response, and you know this better than anyone else, Kyle, so many nuances to how the copy is written, to how things are shot, to angles, to the type of creatives, to the types of presenters. If you come in and you're killing it on paid media elsewhere in a classic e-commerce funnel, you have to come ready to understand that there are things you don't know and change your perspective and be ready to learn, because I didn't come from the direct response space, and a lot of things I've learned along the way, I had obstacles coming. I was like, what is this I'm looking at? What is a swipe?
Yeah.
What is it? None of it made sense. I came from like the A brand Nike world. I didn't get it. And it took time, but I get it now and I see it. And I think it's important for partners we work with coming from outside direct response. And I think same thing because ClickBank does a lot in the e-commerce space. You guys get people coming who aren't from the direct response space. It's important for them to be open to learning the methodologies, the mechanisms, that if you make a VSL, there might be 7 different leads you're testing just in the first few weeks. Like there's a lot of different things that are different than the rest of the space.
Yeah. No, I love that because at the end of the day, it's hard sometimes. I think sometimes I'll get asked questions, I'm sure you too, is like, what do they need to know? What if you're an e-com brand, we go DR, what do you need to know? It's like, I don't know. They can need to know a lot of different things. It's just, you don't know until you're actually in the campaign. But I like what you said. The biggest thing is you have to accept you don't know what you don't know, and there's tons of opportunity here. So sit back, listen, learn, and you will be rewarded in the long run. I especially think one of the things I love about what you said is oftentimes aggression is a function of making up for a product that isn't unique. It's a product that maybe has been seen, it's commoditized. So we're making the difference up in aggressive marketing. But when you take those tactics, the strategies around direct response and direct selling in that way with a unique, great, high quality product, the results aren't something that it's like, oh, you have to be super. No, it's amazing. You could really double up. And like you guys said, you'll bring those VSLs and it really makes a big difference. So I think that's fantastic. And I really love hearing that. So one quick thing, I know we're getting close on time, so I don't want to, we will be here for forever. But I really want to talk specifically to, I guess kind of two things. But first, I want to ask specifically if you had to go with affiliates. So I know you guys don't do necessarily a ton of affiliates, but if you had an e-com brand, maybe they spent some time figuring out this DR stuff. Can you think of maybe what you would tell them, how you might encourage a brand, an e-com brand, to go onto ClickBank and grow with affiliates, and why that would be a good source that you'd pick?
Absolutely. Well, I think first of all, part of the, let's say, the perk or the advantage of working with ClickBank is number one, the experience. You guys are the biggest in the space for the longest amount of time for a reason. I think that the proof is in the numbers in terms of that. I know firsthand, also just coming into the space, how helpful and informative the team can be. You guys have a lot of people, yourself included, Thomas, Kyle, Michael, all these like heavy hitters who have really seen a lot of things in the space. And I know for a fact, always are willing to give new people the attention to really walk them through. For a new offer owner, it's an opportunity to really learn things. You guys understand the space and what's needed, and you have a lot of deep relationships that can really be hugely beneficial. I mean, I am always happy to talk to anyone, even if they're not ready for Kendago. But I mean, you guys have a direct in always with Kendago for anything. And I know it's not just Kendago. Your relationships go that way with everyone in the space. So there's benefit to just coming to a company that's been around forever and knows everything. I think part of the other benefit are the existing partners and the community. It's not just the ClickBank offer owners, it's the things you learn. I mean, the amount of things that I've had an opportunity to learn at a ClickBank Diamond, which what an opportunity to be at, but Diamond and Platinum is next level. I mean, the kind of sharing that's happening, that's not just from the ClickBank employees, it's also from the community of people. There's such a recognition there that I think you get a real opportunity. And honestly, I don't know who's not working on ClickBank. So it's one of those things, if you're looking to get somewhere that's very centrally located in the space and, you know, forget all the perks of ClickBank, just for the marketplace itself. I mean, when someone's coming into the lands of VSL or the land of, you know, opportunity with direct response, ClickBank is the first place that you're going to step foot on. So that also gives you a lot of advantage of what you might be looking for in terms of who are the best affiliates to work with. You know, also, I'll tell you, I know you go to someone on the ClickBank team and say, I need a copywriter for this. I need a VSL maker for this. I need this. You guys have the know-how. So there are other companies you can go to that you can pay a consulting fee, that you can do all these things. ClickBank's just taking a processing fee. It's a lot of perks, in my opinion, just doing business with you guys, where you're going to go the extra level. I know how additionally you go for people. And just for anyone listening, it's not just the biggest offer owners in the space. I firsthand have heard from many new offer owners who haven't had more than 5 sales to their name, stories of, I just had an hour on the phone with Thomas, oh, Kyle K, Kyle Meredith, all these things. Like, the amount of insight that you guys give to people, and don't make direct, you know, transactional money off of, is really next level. And I think that opportunity, the knowledge, I have to say, one of the most valuable things I do for Kendago is bringing back insight to the team that we might not have already. Working with ClickBank, you get insight into everything. A lot of things I learn from your team. So this space, information runs everything. Information is power. So I think that's, in my opinion, the biggest perk that you really get is just the value of your team.
Yeah, I love that, man. Because, you know, it's funny because I couldn't agree more. And I tell people all the time, we have never, or for a long time, we haven't been the technology leader in this space. I mean, some of our technology hasn't changed in like a decade, or there was a time that was true. Our CEO would be like, no, not anymore. But there was a time that was true. And it was the people that carried the company for so long. And so I love hearing that, because I go back to, again, we are all about win, 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 right? So I love what you said, that, hey, when we could share that information, and as you said, you need to be open-minded. You need to know what you don't know and that you need to learn. And that's really what we love to live, is how we could educate, grow, and grow with our clients for mutual success, instead of feeling like we have to take, you know. Not to quote Casey Musgraves in her new album, there's two kinds of people, givers and takers. I definitely think we're the givers out there, and that's what we're looking to do, is give back to clients. So if you're looking to get from the affiliate markets, I love that, you know, you would agree that this is the place to let us give you the information and the success that you need. So with that, though, I still think is in the spirit of great givers. Kendago is an amazing giving company and gives so much to their clients. And that being said, we've talked a lot before. It's not everybody that gets to work there. But for those that are, I'd love to have an opportunity for you to just, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Here are the people I'd like to talk to. And that way we could continue to source it. Or if anyone out there is listening that fits this profile, we'll make sure to have, you could reach out to affiliated@clickbank.com, and we'll read the email, see, hey, this is a great fit, and send them directly to you. But this is your opportunity to pitch to the world. Raanan, what does Kendago need? Who are the people that need to be talking to you after this episode airs?
I mean, there's a few things I'll say that. First of all, I'm always looking for something that's doing something well on paid media. And by that, I mean anything outside of SMS or email. Those are great factions. Those are great platforms. It's just not what we do. If you're doing and seeing nice numbers on Facebook, on Google, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Snapchat, on any of these platforms, native, Amazon, please come find me. I'd love to have a chat. It's not specific to what the vertical is. What we do is going to be very clean. It's going to be something compliant. Generally, we're looking for something brand driven, but that could be e-commerce. That could be women's health, men's health, general health and wellness. That could be a custom supplement. There's so many. It could be a survival offer. There's so many different varieties. It could be something telemedicine. There are a million different things that we do in the space, but I'm looking for something that is sea legs. That said, we're always looking for the bigger opportunities in the big picture, and there's place for everyone. So if you're a new offer owner and you don't feel like you're anywhere near Kendago, reach out to me. We can always have a chat. I'm more than happy to lay the groundwork in terms of letting you know what's needed, because there's always going to be a time that your business grows. And I would love if you come to me when it's time. So if the time is too early now, let's still have a chat. You know, there's a lot of different elements. My sales pipeline isn't generally as fast as perhaps, another company or a network doing something, only because of the fact that we're looking at these long-term solutions. It takes a little bit more for us to have something really be the right fit. We're looking for something that's doing a lot on paid media. So if you're not, still have a chat with me. I'll give you the roadmap. We love to talk.
Fantastic. Man, you're just the best. And I think it's always an invitation we give out to people too. Like, and here's what I tell you, it's amazing how many people talk themselves out of it. Oh, I'm not big. I know they said it's okay, but I'll just wait. And the next thing you know, you never reach out. So let this just be a call that I could tell you, Raanan is freaking awesome. This is a sincere invite. It's just like it would be the same for me. If you reach out and say, hey, can you help? If we have time and we have the ability, we will give. We're givers, not takers. Let us give to you guys. And again, I want to say thank you so much for giving us the time. You know, you're a busy man and you're doing amazing things. And so we're just so grateful to have an amazing member of Kendago, amazing person, but with a great company that we've mutually had so much success over the years. Just can't thank you enough. So for the audience out there, please send us any sort of emails if you're interested in talking to Raanan. We want to hear from you. We want to send a great lead to him. We want to send great people over there because we know you're out there. We know our listeners are great, and that's really what they're looking for at the end of the day. So we want to make great profits with great people, right? With that, though, please rate, review, subscribe. Email us also with anything at affiliated@clickbank.com with what's the next subject? Who else should we be talking to? What are the questions, maybe unrelated to AI, that you're having in your business right now that we haven't answered for you that we can? We're out there always, like I said, give, serve, and make your business better. Thomas isn't here, so I'll use his line without him, but please be out there and happy scaling. Until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.